Oh, hello. The World Cup. It happens once every 4 years, and this year, 2026, the World Cup will be hosted by the United States, Mexico, and Canada. Now, are you a clueless American with next to little knowledge about what the World Cup is, or what the sport of soccer even is? Well, I decided to make this video to address some questions you may have. This is an American's Guide to the World Cup 2026. The World Cup is an international soccer tournament. This tournament is put on by the international soccer governing body known as FIFA. The current president of FIFA is Gianni Infantino, and he is someone you are likely to see a good amount of times throughout the tournament. FIFA 2 is run by its own FIFA Congress, and they are the ones who elect the FIFA president. And they're also the ones who vote on the host country, or countries in this case, for the World Cup. Now real quick, because I'm targeting this video to Americans, because we are one of the rubes hosting this event, I'm going to be referring to the sport as soccer, because that's what the US and Canada and a couple other countries call it. The majority of the nations, however, competing in this tournament do call it football. The acronym FIFA stands for International Federation of Association Football, yet the term soccer supposedly comes from the word association. Confused yet? Gee, we haven't even gotten to the tournament yet. Anyways, FIFA has organized this tournament since 1930 for men's soccer. It has taken place every 4 years since 1930. Except for the years 1942 and 1946 because of World War II. The teams competing in this tournament are international teams. So no, not teams like Real Madrid, Barcelona, or Manchester City. Those are club teams who play in different countries around the world. There is a Club World Cup actually, which is held every 4 years, and there are other tournaments like the UEFA Champions League that these teams do compete in at a high level. Though I will say that players who play on a team like Real Madrid may be playing in the World Cup, depending on what country they are from, and if they are selected to represent their country. Okay, so what countries are involved? Well, the host nations are automatically playing in the World Cup, so this would include the US, Mexico, and Canada. Every other country, though, that will be playing in the World Cup had to play to qualify. And countries have been playing numerous qualification games since 2023. The countries playing in this tournament played qualification games in their prospective confederation. This map here shows each confederation and their region. For example, Brazil is from the CONMEBOL Confederation, and France is from the UEFA Confederation. The US, Mexico, and Canada are all from CONCACAF. Each confederation's qualification processes were kinda different, but overall the qualification process made teams either qualify for the World Cup or not, based on how many points they got. Cape Verde, Curacao, Jordan, and Uzbekistan all qualified for the World Cup for the first time ever. In total, there are 45 teams, or countries, playing in this year's World Cup. For the 2026 World Cup, at the start of the tournament, each of the 45 teams are separated into 12 groups. Now these groups are labeled Group A, Group B, Group C, etc., etc., etc. Now these groups are important because the countries within each group will be playing only against each other during the group stages. And each team will only play each other once in the group stage. That's it. The groups were decided on December 5th, 2025 in Washington, D.C., and consisted of celebrities picking the various teams that would play one another. This is called the group stage draw, and it's where international teams are placed into numbered bowls based on their FIFA World Rankings, and they are randomly chosen to play in a certain group. The group stages, which is the start of the World Cup, will take place in Mexico City on June 11th, 2026, with Mexico versus South Africa as the first game of the World Cup. Now, there are other cities hosting the World Cup too. The United States is hosting the most soccer games, with the games played primarily at NFL stadiums. The US will be hosting 78 out of the 104 total matches, including the FIFA World Cup final. So for each group, the 2 countries with the most points moves on to the knockout stages. So how do you score the most points in the group stage? Well, that would be by winning or getting a tie in your game. Let's say the US gets 1 win, 1 tie, and 1 loss. The US would get 3 points for a win, 1 point for a tie or a draw, and 0 points for a loss. So the top 2 in each group advances to the knockout stage automatically. But what if 2 teams have the same amount of points? This tie could be broken by the cumulative goal difference, how much a team wins by, or the cumulative goals for, how many goals a team scored. Now this year, the 3rd place team in each group may be able to qualify to the knockout stage. And again, this is based on how many points you get in the group stage. And it looks like the 8 best 3rd place teams per group will advance to the knockout stage. Be all good? Everything all right? Need a hot dog? Beer? Alright, let's muster through the next stage, which is after the group stages, the knockout stages, which will begin on June 28th, 2026. Now, think of the knockout stage as March Madness. Every game in the knockout stage will be a win or go home game. For the first time ever, the knockout stage bracket will start with the round of 32, meaning 32 teams will play in win or go home games to advance to the next game, which would be the round of 16, or as March Madness fans would call it, the Sweet 16. Then it would go to the quarterfinals, semifinals, or Final Four, and then ultimately to the finals. Oh, and there's a 3rd place game as well, held the day before the final. Whoever wins the final, which will happen on July 19th at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, wins the World Cup. And that's it. That's the tournament. Now for the important parts of soccer and some of the unique stuff happening in this tournament. There are 11 players per team on the soccer pitch, with 15 available substitutes. But in this tournament, you can only make a substitution 5 times. Now by the way, each coach or manager for each country had to name their squad for the country prior to the World Cup. Everyone named on that squad sheet are the only players who can play for their country in the World Cup. Anyone not on that list won't be able to play. Also, something unique about this World Cup is there will be 2 mandatory 3-minute breaks near the 22nd minute of each half. This really only happens when soccer is played in extreme heat. What makes this not normal though is because it's being instituted in every game. Players in the tournament can be suspended for a game if they receive a red card or 2 yellow cards during one of the stages of the tournament. Usually the player is banned from playing in the next match. There will also be things like goal line technology, kind of like the ABS in baseball. And there will be VAR, the virtual assistant referee, which is basically just like 2 or 3 referees in another building assisting the on-field referee with usually big game time decisions. The VAR makes decisions like onside, offside, or even disallowing or giving goals. Expect to see a lot of VAR when watching the tournament. Also, during the World Cup, there will be 3 distinct opening ceremonies hosted in Mexico, Canada, and the United States, and they'll feature various musicians. And speaking of music, there will be the first ever World Cup final halftime show, and it'll feature Madonna, Shakira, and BTS. Now, the last question you may have is, why is this tournament getting a ton of buzz? Why are there fan fests, which are mass gatherings of people watching soccer under a jumbotron? Why are there super high match prices? Why are there super high transportation prices? Why are there Miller Lite soccer balls? Well, other than the answer of good old-fashioned American consumerism and corruption, I'll note that during the 2022 World Cup, each game was watched by about 175 million people. Yeah, that's right. 175 million people. Each game. Wow. Well, for us Americans, the games will be broadcasted on Fox in English and NBC Universal in Spanish. Whatever language you are watching in, I hope you have a great time watching the tournament. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you next time.